Blog Talk Radio.
Baruch Hashem, Ziavi Mesken. Thanks be to Elohim. Give thanks, brothers and sisters. Here after the Shabbat, here with After the Shabbat podcast, right here. We're at the 29th sabbatical study here for the Shabbat Strong, Axariimot. We're also at the eve, according to the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, according to the True Church and the Professing, EOTC. We're at the eve of Tinsai. Tinsai is the resurrection. Tinsai is the resurrection day on that morrow. Remember, it says the morrow after the Shabbat, connected with the third of the seven appointments, Mo'edei Elohim, the feast, the festivals of Elohim, of Yahweh Eloheinu. So we had Pesach, according to the Hebrew, the lunar solar count, and here with the Nazarenes, the Christianoi, and pointing to how the early church, the true church and the professing church observed, right connected with the East, well, with the Passover time that they falsely call Easter. So some will refer to as Easter Sunday. I'm going to get into hopefully a little bit more reasoning to, like, one might ask, well, how come we're out of the Passover season right now? But then, according to Ethiopian Orthodox Church, May 5th here in this season, here the 4th, May 5th, is that resurrection first day that often is called Easter Sunday. Well, what about Easter in the Bible? Why do they call it Easter? And that confusion right there mainly is because of the translation into English, the Western Gentile world, and the times, as the Bible speaks of the times of the Gentiles, the Goyim, the times of the nation states. People speak about the end of the world, or the end times, the end of the world. Well, it's actually what the scripture speaks about is the times of the Gentiles, and when the times of the Gentiles come to their fulfillment, or, quote, ending. So here we're in the end times of the nation states and the so much trouble in the world. That points to many of the signs of the time. But right here, just picking up right here, we have the 29th sabbatical study, Shabbat Strong, Ahare Mot, after the death of the two sons of Aharon. So here we pick up with Leviticus chapter 16 to chapter 18, verse 30. Leviticus chapter 16, of course, verse 1 to chapter 18, verse 30. We have the seven, we can say aliots, the first reading, second reading, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and the seventh reading. 7 readings on the Shabbat of the sabbatical study of the Torah reading and feeding. We call it the sabbatical manna, the angel's bread. Then we also have the Haftarah here, which is the prophet's reading. Haftarah, the reading from the Navim. We have Yechezkel, or Ezekiel, Yechezkel. Ezekiel chapter 22, focus verses 1 to 19. And then we have the Brit Chadasha, the renewed covenant, the new covenant reading, called the New Testament reading from the Epistle to the Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 11, chapter 9, verse 11 to verse 28. So just at the outro right here, since we're resuming the regular Torah reading and feedings, and we're also in the time and the season of the counting of the Omer. Now, the counting of the Omer, actually, here in the season for us, because, okay, let's get this right here. When Passover occurs, right? Passover occurs, first day, right, is the day of the unleavened bread. It begins on the eve. So eve is Passover. Then the next day starts out the first of the 7 days of unleavened bread. Now, the first day is regarded as a type of a Shabbat, a rest day, and the last day of the 7 days is a type of Shabbat, a rest day. Specifically, the Torah says, you shall do no servile work in that day. Therefore, the connection with the same command, instruction, direction for the Shabbat. But what it says specifically, as we've gone over and over again, because there's something to recursive learning, repetitious, in other words, almost like a repetitious, going over this right? And then looking at the evidence again, and we begin to better understand the context of it. So we have 3 feasts and festivals, right, that occur in the first of the 3 times in the year. There's 7 in total, 3 in the first season, 1 in the second. This is what we're counting up to, the harvest. And then at the end of the year, when we come to the 7th month, the 7th moon, we have 3 more, namely Yom Teruah, the Day of Trumpets, called Rosh Hashanah, Yom HaKippurim, that this Torah reading and feeding speaks to here, the 29th, אחרימות, and then we have Sukkot, or tabernacles, booths, in gathering. So in this first season here, after the eve, between the evenings, we will observe the Passover, Yahweh's Passover. And then the first day of unleavened bread is likened to a Sabbath, a no work, a rest day. And the last day is a rest day. But then it speaks of the morrow after the Shabbat. So the morrow after the Shabbat, that will bring us to the day that nowadays is called Sunday. Right? That's where the whole idea of the first day resurrection is connected, both scripturally, historically, and also, we would say prophetically, with the first day resurrection. So here in the season, what they call Easter Sunday, right? What the world calls Easter Sunday. And the Orthodox Ethiopian Church, and, everybody speaking English and, kind of going along to get along, you hear one talking about Ethiopian Easter. Right? Even in time, the visitation of His Majesty, in many of the English translations, it would say Easter. When we read the Amharic, it would say Fasika. So look at that right there. So in the English, they would translate, the Ethiopian observing Easter, but then you hear the Ethiopian speaking the language, they're talking about Fasika. Now, Fasika, even for the Orthodox Church at this time, this season right now, the reason for the season it's fulfilling. It's passing. What do you mean by passing? In other words, first is Passover, the days of unleavened bread, symbolizing that Passion Week and the afflictions of Moshiach, Yeshua. Then on the morrow, after that weekly Sabbath, the Shabbat, right? On the morrow after the Sabbath is the 7th day, morrow after is the first day. That is when the first fruits were offered, and that is the day of the resurrection of Yeshua. As He has spoken, as He had, one may say, prophesied, so it came to pass. 3 days and 3 nights. And this is not from a so-called Good Friday counting, because you cannot count 3 days and 3 nights. And it's a shame that tradition, ones are holding to that from tradition, yet plain logic, logos, since in the beginning was the logos, right? The root of the logic, the word. And the word was with Otheos, was with God, right? And the word, the logos, was Otheos, was God. That's coming from the Koine Greek of that right there. But the beginning is the word, the logic. The logic does not justify 3 days and 3 nights counting from Friday, what the 6th day of the week, right? Remember, the command says on the morrow after the Shabbat. So this now makes us study. And when we study, we get to recognize, oh, wow, Daniel's prophecy, that 70-week prophecy actually was fulfilled. This is one of the reasons that some say that some of the rabbis and some of the scholars allegedly were preventing one from going into the timing of the Daniel prophecy. It's said to be one of the areas that during certain times of the Yehudi and even the Jews and Judaism, that this part of prophecy was discouraged looking into, because when we look into it, we see a actual fulfillment, right, with Yeshua HaNotri, with Jesus of Nazareth in the first century time, where it speaks about the Messiah being cut off in the midst of the week. Then when we do the math and look at the scripts, right, we get to recognize that it was the Wednesday, the 4th day in the week, when Yeshua was crucified, like Daniel's prophecy says, in the midst of the week. I remember the week is 7 days. 7 days is Shabbat day. The midst of the week will be on the 4th day. That's between the 3 first days and the 3 last days of the Shabuah. Check. So therefore, when they placed his body in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, that good Pharisee, along with, we have Nicodemus, was also another good Pharisee, one of the Pharisees, or they were Pharisees, right? They had faith in Yeshua, right? And they demonstrated that through their work. For example, Joseph of Arimathea, he went to get a habeas corpus because he was mindful of what the Torah says. The instruction was that even one who was executed as a criminal or whatnot, that we should not have any body like hang on, on a tree, or, crucified or hung, lynched, what have you, overnight. So he went and plus it was the beginning of the Pesach Passover season in that year that the Bible records. And we have the four Gospels testifying to, right? So that means that by the time they got to the fifth day, right, of that week, which would have been in that time the first day of the unleavened bread, right? So we have the fifth day, which is called Thursday, the sixth day, which is called Friday, and the seventh day, which is called Saturday. So get this. Crucifixion occurring on the Wednesday, middle of the week. Daniel's prophecy is right and accurate. Then he's placed in the tomb, right? 3 days and 3 nights in the, the belly of the earth, or the whale, if one would so, point to the parable, right? Then we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And what does the Torah say? The Torah commanded, even in that year, and especially in that year, that on the morrow after that weekly Shabbat, would you bring forward the first fruits, right? So what do the first fruits symbolize? Well, it symbolized that a seed had been planted and it had died. The Messiah speaks about. I think, does he say it calls one like foolish if they don't recognize that, the seed cannot grow, right, unless it first dies? That means being put into the earth. Right. So we have the agricultural aspect of Passover and the spring feast and festival with the crops growing, right? A sign of regeneration, a sign of even, quote, life after the dead, life after death. Right? This is clear. It should be clear and obvious that even the holy feast and festival, the Mo'edei Yahweh, were connected, right, with agricultural times and season, right? And the agricultural natural times and season, remember, it is the Almighty who created this through his wisdom. So this even teaches us, right? As Yeshua says, wisdom is justified by all of her children. So getting the wisdom of it, we see that they're presenting the crops, right, which is the first fruits, right, that has grown. And on this very same day, right, after the Shabbat, that Saturday or that Shabbat, seventh day, on the first day of the week. So the Orthodox churches, in seeking to fulfill what Moshiach said, do this in remembrance of me, right? Seeing that the Passover observance from year to year always don't rise on the same day. I know there's some who speak about an Enochian calendar and only we should calculate by the sun and all of this. We'll address that as we move forward. That's not relative to this, but a footnote to this right there. So on that very same morrow after Shabbat is when the early churches would seek to keep the Passover, but then mark, right, that time as it relates to the Passover season in that year. So in this particular year right here, we have that time to be May 5th. So what it does is it superimposes, looks at the ideal week, that ideal week where the Messiah was crucified in the middle of the week, right? And the early church understood the 3 days to begin from what they call Holy Thursday. Right now, why is it Good Friday? Well, for the Yehudi and for the Torah observant Israelites, every Friday was like a Erev Tov, the evening Tov, a good evening. Why? Because the Friday night, or what they call Friday evening, is actually the beginning of the Shabbat time. Right? It's a preparation for that time. right? But as far as what they speak about Good Friday, that is just wrong right there. And I know some people are so caught up in, particular traditions that they have observed. I mean, I actually went and did a couple more research to see what was out there. And so one's trying to hold to that tradition, even though it clearly is not 3 days and 3 nights. So should we make Moshiach a liar to keep to a tradition, or a custom that does not even glorify the word? All right, so Friday to Sunday is not 3 days and 3 nights. But what was 3 days and 3 nights in that ideal year? It was the Wednesday of the week, or the 4th day, the crucifixion. By the time the evening came in, his body was in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. So from what's called a Thursday, which would have been the first day of the unleavened bread, Friday, 2nd day, 3rd day, the Saturday, or the Shabbat day. And then what does the Torah say in Leviticus chapter 23? I think it's around about verses 10, 11, and 12. I think it's 11 where it speaks about on the morrow after the Shabbat. Now, how do we know that it's not the Shabbat of the Holy Week? In other words, the first and the last day. Well, because as we continue to read on in the counting of the days, counting of the Omer, and the counting up to harvest, notice what it says. It says, you shall count 7 Shabbats complete. So to a Hebrew to count 7 Shabbats, that's like another way to say count 7 weeks. Because the first day of the week is what the Gentiles call Sunday. That's the first day. And the 7th day is the Shabbat day. So it says count 7 Shabbats complete. And this means that it's already after Passover season, right? And therefore, being after Passover season, it's not referring to the ceremonial Shabbat of the first and the last days of the feast, but it's referring to the weekly Shabbat, because then it says, and on the morrow after the 7th Shabbat, which also matches the first day of the Shabuah, aka the first day of the week called Sunday. So I think we as Hebrews and also Israelites that say, well, there was no Sunday worship, I get you on that. But there was observations that had to occur on the first day of the Shabuah. And one of those was counting the Omer, and the one before that was presenting the first fruits. So the third of the 3 appointments, feast, festivals that happened during the Passover time is first fruits. First fruits, the Reishis, the Bikurim, right? And the reason that the early church observed that on the first day of the week, right, is because of what's written in HaTorah. Right? It's written that the presentation of the first fruits would happen on the morrow, the next day after the Shabbat. And then for the next 7 weeks going forward, we are to count 7 Shabbats complete. 7 times 7, 49. And then on the morrow after, you see the symmetry. I hope one can see the symmetry of it, the consistency of it. This is how we know that it was the weekly Sabbath. The first of the holy days is the Shabbat day. Shabbat shalom, send it shalom. 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 Here, standing prayer. We're going to pick up on a little bit more for this 29th sabbatical study for Axariimot. I think we had left off on the 2 goats, also the goat of God theme. We know that Yeshua is the Lamb of God, but then what about the goat of God? Since the goat of God, the goats, you remember the 2 goats here in this Torah reading and feeding after the death of the 2 sons of Aaron? Notice after the death, of the 2 sons, remind me of the 2 thieves. Remember the 2 thieves? Yeah, so even there we get to see an ancient likeness. And this is one of the reasons why we say Yeshua called those religious Pharisees and scribes and vainly religious ones, he called them hypocrites. Because now as we go over the evidence of the Yehudi, we say, wait, oh, wow. I mean, it's right here. It's right here in the teachings. It's right here in the practices, right there in the custom. And it gives even more light, right, and emphasis to the truth of Yeshua HaNotzri. But here, let we ride up, standing prayer, right? All rise, who shall stand in the judgment? Here we have the Amida, Dubwise Augustus Pablo, Rockers meet King Tubby in a firehouse, because it says that, judgment must first happen, right, to the house, yes, house of Elohim.
My Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall declare your praise. Blessed are you, Lord, our God, and God of our fathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, the great, mighty, and awesome God, exalted God who bestows bountiful kindness, who creates all things, who remembers the piety of the patriarchs, and who in love brings a Redeemer to their children's children for the sake of his name. O King, you are a helper, a savior, and a shield. Blessed are you, Lord, shield of Abraham. You are mighty forever, my Lord. You resurrect the dead, you are powerful to save. You sustain the living with loving kindness, resurrect the dead with great mercy, support the falling, heal the sick, release the bound, and fulfill your trust to those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, mighty one, and who can be compared to you, King, who brings death and restores life and causes deliverance to spring forth? You are trustworthy to revive the dead. Blessed are you, Lord, who revives the dead. We will hallow and adore you as the sweet words of the assembly of the holy seraphim, who thrice repeat, Holy unto you, as it is written by your prophet. And they call one to another and say, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of the hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Blessed be the glory of the Lord from its place. And in your holy scriptures it is written thus, the Lord shall reign forever, your God, O Zion, throughout all generations. Praise the Lord. You are holy, and your name is holy, and holy beings praise you daily for all eternity. Blessed are you, Lord, the holy God. You graciously bestow knowledge upon man and teach mortals understanding. Graciously bestow upon us from you wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Blessed are you, Lord, who graciously bestows knowledge. Cause us to return, our Father, to your Torah. Draw us near, our King, to your service, and bring us back to you in wholehearted repentance. Blessed are you, Lord, who desires penitence. Pardon us, our Father, for we have sinned. Forgive us, our King, for we have transgressed. For you are a good and forgiving God. Blessed are you, Lord, gracious one who pardons abundantly. O behold our affliction and wage our battle. Redeem us speedily for the sake of your name. For you, God, are the mighty Redeemer. Blessed are you, Lord, Redeemer of Israel. Heal us, O Lord, and we will be healed. Help us, and we will be saved. For you are our praise. Grant complete cure and healing to all our wounds. For you, Almighty King, are a faithful and merciful healer. Blessed are you, Lord, who heals the sick of his people, Israel. Bless for us, Lord our God, this year and all the varieties of his produce for good, and bestow blessing upon the face of the earth. Satisfy us from your bounty, and bless our year like other good years for blessing. For you are a generous God who bestows goodness and blesses the years. Blessed are you, Lord, who blesses the years. Sound the great shofar for our freedom. Raise a banner to gather our exiles, and bring us together from the four corners of the earth into our land. Blessed are you, Lord, who gathers the dispersed of his people, Israel. Restore our judges as in former times, and our counselors as of yore. Remove from us sorrow and sighing, and reign over us. You alone, O Lord, with kindness and compassion, with righteousness and justice. Blessed are you, Lord, King, who loves righteousness and justice. Let there be no hope for informers, and may all the heretics and all the wicked instantly perish. May all the enemies of your people be speedily extirpated, and may you swiftly uproot, break, crush, and subdue the reign of wickedness speedily in our days. Blessed are you, Lord, who crushes enemies and subdues the wicked. May your mercies be aroused, Lord our God, upon the righteous, upon the pious, upon the elders of your people, the house of Israel, upon the remnant of their sages, upon the righteous proselytes, and upon us. Grant ample reward to all who truly trust in your name and place our lot among them. May we never be disgraced, for we have put our trust in you. Blessed are you, Lord, the support and security of the righteous. Return in mercy to Jerusalem, your city, and dwell therein as you have promised. Speedily establish therein the throne of David, your servant, and rebuild it soon in our days as an everlasting edifice. Blessed are you, Lord, who rebuilds Jerusalem. Speedily cause the sign of David, your servant, to flourish, and increase his power by your salvation, for we hope for your salvation all day. Blessed are you, Lord, who causes the power of salvation to flourish. Hear our voice, Lord, our God, merciful Father. Have compassion upon us, and accept our prayers in mercy and favor. For you are God who hears prayers and supplications. Do not turn us away empty-handed from you, our King, for you hear the prayer of everyone. Blessed are you, Lord, who hears prayer. Look with favor, Lord, our God, on your people Israel, and pay heed to their prayer. Restore the service to your sanctuary, and accept with love and favor Israel's fire offerings and prayer. And may the service of your people Israel always find favor. May our eyes behold your return to Zion in mercy. Blessed are you, Lord, who restores his divine presence to Zion. We thankfully acknowledge that you are the Lord, our God, and God of our fathers forever. You are the strength of our life, the shield of our salvation in every generation. We will give thanks to you and recount your praise evening, morning, and noon. For our lives which are committed into your hand, for our souls which are entrusted to you, for your miracles which are with us daily, and for your continual wonders and beneficences. You are the beneficent one, for your mercies never cease, the merciful one, for your kindness never ends, for we always place our hope in you. And for all these, may your name, our King, be continually blessed, exalted and extolled forever and all time. And all living things shall forever thank you and praise your great name eternally. For you are good. God, you are everlasting salvation and health, all benevolent. God, blessed are you, Lord, beneficent is your name, and to you it is fitting to offer thanks. Bestow peace, goodness, and blessing, life, graciousness, kindness, and mercy upon us and upon all your people Israel. Bless us, our Father, and all of us as one, with the light of your countenance. For by the light of your countenance you gave us, Lord our God, the Torah of life and loving kindness, righteousness, blessing, mercy, life, and peace. May it be favorable in your eyes to bless your people Israel at all times and at every moment with your peace. Peace, peace, peace. Blessed are you, Lord, who blesses his people Israel with peace. May the word of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. My God, guard my tongue from evil and my lips from speaking deceitfully. Let my soul be silent to those who curse me. Let my soul be as dust to all. Open my heart to your Torah, and let my soul eagerly pursue your commandments. As for all those who plot evil against me, hasten to annul their counsel and frustrate their design. Let them be as chaff before the wind. Let the angel of the Lord thrust them away, that your beloved ones may be delivered. Help with your right hand and answer me. Do it for the sake of your name. Do it for the sake of your right hand. Do it for the sake of your Torah. Do it for the sake of your holiness. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. He who makes peace in his heavens, may he make peace for us and for all Israel, and say Amen. May it be your will, Lord our God and God of our fathers, that the Beth Hamikdash be speedily rebuilt in our days, and grant us portion in your Torah. Amen. 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 Amen.
Zion I light, and I be a testament to the light that shineth through the night. Humble lion, I have to forward and reach a Mount Zion. Through following the light of the Lamb and the Lion, the most holy one, the Father and the Son. Read it in the Old and the New Testament. Me I tell you to read up your Bible.
Rewind and come back, selector.
Yeah, so right there's the standing prayer, the Amida. One of the favorite attributes is Shomea Tefillah. Shomea, the one who hears, like the hearer. Yahweh, he who be, who he be, who he be. He be Shomea Tefillah. He be the hearer. He be the hearer. Shomea, Shomea. You know, Shema is a command, like speaking to a male or all men as one man. Shema, hear. Shama, he heard. Shomea, the hearer of Tefillah. And that brings us right here to today's daily psalm. We have Psalm 17, Mizmor Yod Zayin, Yad Zayin. Hebraically, alphanumerically, the Yod, Hebrew letter, the 10th letter, and Zayin, some might say Zayin, contracting the sound. Yod Zayin, Yad Zayin. 17 is themed a prayer. Tefillah lid Dawid. Tefillah lid Dawid. Now we have two more psalms in the Psalter that is prescribed as David's prayer. Dawid's Tefillah. Namely, we have Psalm 86, Psalm LXXXVI, and we have Psalm 142, CXLII, Psalm 142. So Psalm 86 and Psalm 142, they also are superscribed. Yeah, that's the small type. If you read like a KJV Bible, usually it's there, but some Bibles take that out. I don't know why they do that, but some Bibles take that small part out. But that's important. The superscription, Hebraically, it's often included, and it is the first verse. Right before verse 1, if you look at the KJV version, you might see under small type, under the heading, a Psalm of David. Well, two other Psalms are superscribed as David's Tefillah. Now, despite some resemblances in the language of this and the preceding Psalms, the atmosphere is very different. In the later Psalms, like Psalm 86 and Psalm 142, there breathes a spirit of tranquility. In the later Psalms, there breathes a spirit, an irid, a spirit of tranquility and assurance, always faithful, always sure. But here, in today's daily Psalm, Mizmor Yod Zayin, Psalm 17, here we have agitation, anxiety prevailing, agitation, agginess, anxiety, tightness, constriction, difficulty, straits, anxiety, and agitation prevailing in today's daily Psalm, Mizmor Yod Zayin. Now, the circumstances are similar to those in Psalm 7, right? Psalm VII, and Psalm 9, Psalm IX. Take note. So the circumstances, so we have two other Psalms in the Psalter that has a superscription of David's prayer. That's Psalm 86 and Psalm 142. Now, in the other Psalms, 86 and 142, there seems to be a breath, a breathing of a spirit of tranquility and assurance, always faithful, always sure. It's one of those prayer, tefillah. But here we have agitation in Psalm 17 and anxiety prevailing. Now, it is said that the circumstances that we find in today's daily psalm are similar to those in Psalm 7 and Psalm 9. Take note, Talmudim, fellow disciples, Psalm 7 and Psalm 9. Are the circumstances here similar to the circumstances there? Now, the writer is purposed. So here we have a Psalm of David. So we take David as the nominal author, but the writer, right, is pursued by a band of men. So the purpose here is a prayer because the writer, the author, David, is pursued by a band of men intent upon his destruction, his deconstruction, his destruction, his downstruction. One person is singled out and compared to a lion eager to rend its prey, eager to tear its prey. Here we have verse 12. Let's just scroll ahead and look at verse 12. It says, he is like a lion that is eager to tear in pieces. Dimyono. He resembles Dimyono. K'aryeh, and Aryeh. The Aryeh, Ari, short form, and we have Aryeh for lion in Hebrew. Dimyono, K'aryeh. Yiksof, litrof. That is eager, yiksof, to tear, to say tear in pieces. Litrof, to tear in pieces. And like a young lion, with kafir, we're kafir, we're and ki like kafir. A kafir is like a young lion, kafir. We're kafir, Yosheb. Here they translate as lurking. Yosheb be mistarim. Mistarim, like in secret places, hidden places. Misa tatar, like mystery, Misa tarim, in secret or hidden places. So here in verse 12, this is one who is singled out in today's daily Psalm, Psalm 17, one being singled out and compared to a lion, eager to rend its prey, eager to rip its prey. He is like a lion that is eager to tear in pieces. Dimyono, K'aryeh yikosofa litrof, and like a young lion, with kafir, like a kafir, a young lion, Yosheb. Now Yosheb is interesting here because Yosheb is like to seat up, is seated. Yosheb, Yashab, to seat. Here has Yosheb, right? Yosheb be mistarim. It's interesting here because he is like a lion. Here, according to context, we see this as pointing to Shaul, to Saul. For the comparison with a lion, we can look in Psalm 7, verse 3, and in Psalm 10, round about verse 9, right here. So an occasion like the pursuit of David in the wilderness of Ma'on by Saul and his forces, is found in 1 Samuel chapter 23, verse 25. This here comes to mind right here. So we have today's daily psalm, which is a prayer to Tefillah. And as said in the Amida, Yahweh Eloheinu Aina Elohim Shomea Tefillah, is an hearer of prayer. Right here, a prayer of David.
Psalm 17.
Mizmor Yud Zayin, Tefillah le David.
Hear the right, O Lord.
Shim'a Adonai Tzedek.
Attend unto my cry.
Hakshiva Rinnati.
Hear unto my prayer.
האזינה תפילתי, 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 תפילתי.
that goeth not out of feigned lips.
ולא שפתי מרמה.
Let my sentence come forth from my presence.
מלפניך משפטי יצא, 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 יצא.
Let thine eyes behold the things that are equal, are equal, are equal, are equal, are equal, are equal, are equal.
עיניך תחזינה משרים, 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 משרים.
Thou hast proved mine heart. Thou hast visited me in the night. Thou hast tried me, and shalt find nothing. I am purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. Concerning the works of men, by the word of thy lips I have kept me from the paths of the destroyer. Hold up my goings in thy paths, that my footsteps slip not. I have called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me, O God. Incline thine ear unto me, and hear my speech. Show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by thy right hand them which put their trust in thee from those that rise up against them. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword, from men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, 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 with thy likeness.
With thy likeness, when I awake, with thy likeness. So even here in today's daily song, there's some allusion, right, to the Tikuma, the getting up, the resurrection, Techiva, to the resurrection sense, the sense of resurrection we have right here. That final part, that's the part I really want to zoom into, right? The prayer for deliverance that we have in verses 13 to verse 15, as well as that closing aspiration. As for me, as for I shall behold thy face in righteousness. Ani, I, bit tzedek, bit in on by way of tzedek, righteousness. Echeze, I will behold. Now, cheze come from the chaza, as we have Revelation is chazon, chaza, to like see in a vision sense. Ani b'tzedeka echeze faneka, thy face, thy presence, thy perception. I shall be satisfied. Esba'ah, I will sabah, to be satisfied. Esba'ah. I will be satisfied when I awake. B'hagitz, when I awake. Timunateka, with thy likeness. Now, these words here even point to Bereshis and the beginning, and man being created, humanity in his image and after his likeness. So right here, that's the fulfillment part that we'd like to get to. But here's the time that we have right here. Let's pick up right here with the full of today's daily song. We have 15 15 verses right here, 15 verses. It's fairly much aligned with the KJV, how the verses are ordered. The opening part, Tefillah LeDawid, is not a separate portion, but it's connected with the first verse. We touched on the overview. This is a Tefillah right here, here, here. So let's open with the first 5 verses right here. This is going to be the Targum, verse by verse, right? First 5 verses right here, which is seen the plea of innocence. First 5 verses of Psalm 17, Mizmor Yod Zain, is a plea of innocence. Then in verses 6 to 9, we have his petition, his ask. In verses 10 to 12, his enemies, the enemies, are portrayed. We get a profiling of the enemies. In verses 13 to 14, we have the tefillah, the prayer for deliverance. And in verse 15, the closing verse, his and I aspiration. So here, first verse right here, Hebrew first, we have tefillah LeDawid, Shima'ah Yahweh, Tzedek Haksheba Rinati, Ha'azina Tifilati, below Siftei Mirma. Here, KJV brings it out as a prayer of David. Hear the rights, O Lord, attend to my cry, give ear to my prayer that goeth not out of feigned lips. As is our practice, we like to look at the Hebrew, and then when we see the English KJV, this italicized word. So just going over it again without the italicization and replacing the tetragrammaton LORD with the true. A prayer of David, hear the right, O Yahweh, attend to my cry, give ear to my prayer, not out of feigned lips. So you see the part in the KJV that says that goeth, it's italicized. There's nothing in the Hebrew that goeth, right? The more direct force, right, where it says give ear to. We don't read the unto because un means not. You know, little tricks. You know, when we be wise to salvation, give ear to my prayer, not out of feigned lips, without lips of deceit, without lips of deceit. So here, let's go through the breakdown and build, right? A prayer of David, Tefillah LeDawid. As we mentioned, Tefillah is prayer, and Tefillah is from the H6419 Palal, one pointing of it, Falal, which means to intervene, to interpose, to pray. In the PL sense of the Hebrew dikduk, the grammar, we have the root idea to mediate. The sense of it is to mediate. Also can be to judge. The hitpa'el sense is to intercede, to pray. Now Strong's bringing out best right here as a primitive root, right? The palal, falal sense into fila, right? To judge officially, which means by Torah, and or mentally. The extension of the word to pray, palal, to judge, to weigh, right, is to intercede. And this is where we get the Hebrew sense of to pray, right, to pray. Another way of bringing out the Hebrew sense of prayer, instead of just begging, it is actually a self-diagnosis, right, in light of Yah's word, his way, his truth. And we can hear it clearly in Dawid, and we'll try to point to those areas to bring it out for ones and ones. But here we're at the Aleph verse. The Aleph verse is the first verse. So we have hear the right. We have hear the right. The first part here, Tefillah LeDawid, prayer of David, Shima'ah, Yahweh, Shima'ah. So here we have the Shima'ah from the Shama'ah, to hear, to listen. The sense in the Hebrew of to hear, to listen also has a sense to obey, to hear with attention, Shima'ah, hear with attention, hear with interest, right? Shima'ah, to understands the language, even the inner language. Shima'ah is to hear in the case of judicial cases, To listen, to give heed. The implied sense is to consent, to agree, therefore to grant the request, to listen to yield. The Hebraic sense of hearing also has a sense of to obey, to be obedient, to obey, to be obedient, to regard, to regard. Then we have the causative sense, to cause to hear. But here he's saying to hear, shima'ah, to pay attention to, right? To pay attention to and to grant this request. Oh, he who be who he be. Oh, Yahweh, shima'ah, Yahweh, tzedek, tzedek, justice, tzedek, what is right. Hear intelligently, often with the implication of attention, obedience. Shima'ah, Yahweh, tzedek. Now that's an interesting concept right there. When the Hebrew sense, when we say Shima'ah, Shima'ah, in this sense, in this prayer here, opening words, it's like to hear, to attend to, right? To attend to the right. Hear what is just, right? Give regard to what is just, even the implications to obey and to act, right? In concert with what is tzedek, tzedek, Shima'ah Yahweh tzedek. Hear the right, only because he, and I should know that he has right, has tzedek. So in the English it says right, it would be more better justice, right? The more better sense is hear the right, hear the tzedek. As we have Melkeh, tzedek, hear that which is just. Shima'ah Yahweh tzedek. See, why this prayer is going forward like this? Because Dawid is bringing like his case to court, right? Case to court. So the sense of tefillah, right? The process of tefillah is to assert one's standing. And you know, like, in what right do you have to bring this forward? And this is what Dawid is going through in verse by verse right here in today's daily psalm. Only because he knows that he has right on his side. He even dares to supplicate Yahweh Eloheinu for aid and for assistance. And even when we look at the language and understand the Hebrew language in the way that he is saying this, obey, O Jehovah, the righteous. You know, that which is righteous, that which is just. Shima'ah Yahweh tzedek. Hak sheba rinati. Hak sheba. Hak sheba. This is from the Kashab. Kashab in Hebrew means to like hear, to be attentive, to incline, right? Like to prick up the ears is the sense, to hearken, to incline, right? So both these words generally could be brought out as to hear, but there's a emphasis and a nuance, right? Attend. In other words, hear that which is just, that which is righteous, O Jehovah. Hak sheba rinati, hak sheba. And to attend, right? To almost like prick your ears, to attend, to regard. Emphasis on regarding, rinati. Now, rina is an interesting word because rina or rinati is my rina. What is my rina? Well, arena, right, is a ringing cry, like an entreaty, a supplication, in proclamation, in joy, in praise. Literally, the arena is like a shrill sound, like a creaking. It can be like a shout as well, of joy or of grief. So the arena is like a shrill, a shout of joy or grief, because then we have the root sense, ranan. All right, so arena is like the noun, and then ranan is getting to the verbal root. Ranan is like to overcome, to cry out, to shout for joy, to give a ringing, a shrilling cry, a crying out, right? It could be a sense of summoning, exhortation of wisdom, hokmah. The mother, she gives this way in Proverbs, but it also can be to sing out, to cause to ring and sing. So sometimes we'll bring this out as to sing in ringing and shrilling, singing really ringing and shrilling tones, or calling out like "Jah," you know, that passion there where it's like a creak, it's like emitting a stridulous sound, right? But remember, it can be a shout. The contextually can be for in joy or in pain. Just to point that out, it's a particular kind of a shout that can be in joy or in pain. So the Hebrew rinati, here we have Hak Shiba speaking to Yahuwah to attend rinati, to my rina, my rinati, to my cry is how it's translated in KJV. But this signifies a shrill and a piercing sound that's wrung from the heart, heartically, expressive either of joy or suffering, either of joy or of pain. Shima'ah Yahuwah Edek Hak Shiva Reinati. Give ear, and he says, give ear to my prayer, not out of feigned lips. Give ear to my prayer from lips without deceit, the sense of from lips without deceit. Right? My prayer is not from feigned lips. Right? My prayer is not from lips with deceit, lips that don't have any deceit. Ha'azina. Now ha'azina, as the translator has, give ear. See, the ear is the ozen. Isn't ozen. Ozen, azan means to hear. Azana, right? To hear. Here we have ha'azina. Ha'azina in the sense of the verb in Hebrew is like to broaden the ear. I often liken it to that gesture, like when somebody shows that they're listening and they put their hand behind the ear and makes their ear fold out, broaden. This is like the word pick of that right there. Ha'azina, broaden the ear. Tefilati, my prayer. Broaden the ear. Broaden your ear. Ha'azina tefilati. What's interesting about this opening Aleph verse is there's three words here that all expresses ideas of hearing, listening, being attentive, broadening the ear. Ha'azina tefilati. Below siftei mirma. Below in not siftei lips of mirma. Lips of deceit, without lips of deceit. He honestly, here Dawid and I honestly admits that every word he and I utters in tefilato, in his tefillah, in his prayer, tefilato is emet, is haemet, is the emet, is the truth. Now, the feigned lips part, feigned, just a little bit of mirma, the sense of deceiving, mirma, fraudulent lips, mirma, false, feigned, guile, subtly, treachery. Mirma comes from the Hebrew rama, as we mentioned, like to shoot, to cast, to shoot, to hurl, almost like to shoot out the lips that being shot out, to shoot out the lips. It's interesting, the sense of guile and deceit, right? But this word rama usually has a sense of like to throw, like a bowmen, right? The ancient snipers, to throw down, right? Is the literal sense. So the rama, like if I have arrows and I cause them to ramu, like I shoot them up in the air, right? To get a good height to come down good, right? So the same sense here is now being used for the lips that just shoot out things, that throw down things, but things that are to beguile, to deceive, to mislead, to deal treacherously, to beguile, deceive, to trick, right? Even a sense to betray. So the root idea, right, is to hurl, specifically to shoot, literally. In a figurative sense, is to delude, right? To delude or to betray, as if causing to fall. So in the same sense that an arrow will be shot out and will go ram, go high, be shot out, is the same way that the lips will be shot out. But he is saying that every word that he utters in tefilato, but tefilato is emet, is the truth. Here to verse 2, Chabarim. KJV has verse 2 right here, these first 5 verses, the plea of innocence. It's like in court, how do you plead? All right, he opens up with this plea of innocence. Here, the Bates verse, the second verse, Hebraically, let my sentence come forth from thy presence. May thine eyes behold the things that are equal. KJV. Mi lifaneka, from of your face, from your presence, your perception. Mi lifaneka, mishpati, my mishpat, my judgment, in the sense of a sentence, shafat, mishpati, my judgment, yetze, coming forward, exiting forward, aineka, your eyes, aineka, speaking directly to Yahuwah, aineka, techezena, let them behold, techezena. And we say that the closing verse, right, where he says that he will see, right, he will see. He says, as for me, ani b'tzedek, in righteousness and justice, echeze, I will behold, echeze, ani b'tzedek, echeze faneka. As for me, I shall behold. The word chazah is like a visionary sense of. It's not the regular words for seeing, right? And so right here in the bait verse of David's tefillah, he says, let my sentence or my judgment come forth from thy presence. May thy eyes behold. Equity. So here's not just saying see, but behold in a visionary sense from the Hebrew chazah. Chazah is to see, to perceive, to look, to behold, but it also brings out the sense of to prophesy, to behold, to see as a seer sees, even in like an ecstatic state, right? To see, to perceive with the intelligence, to see, even to see in the sense of by experience. Strong's bring this out many places as to gaze at something, to gaze. Mentally, on the mental level, to perceive or to contemplate. The sense here is to contemplate, but to contemplate with pleasure. Specifically, as the word is brought out in many areas of translations in the Bible, specifically to have a vision of. KJV and other Bibles often translate the chazah as to behold, to look, to prophesy, as well as to provide. So what is David saying right here? Milefanecha mishpati yetze, aineka techezena. May your eyes see, meisharim. May your eyes see, meisharim. Meisharim here is from Meshar. Meshar comes from the Hebrew root yashar. Meshar. What is Meshar? Meshar means evenness, uprightness, straightness, equity, like levelness, smoothness, that which is right, rightly, uprightly. Meshar. So the usual meaning is evenness, right? In the figurative sense, Meshar, in the plural sense, Mesharim, as we have here, equities, that which is smooth, that which is even, that which is figuratively prosperity or concord, that which is straightness, right? Speaking in the figurative sense, rectitude. Rectitude is another way that can be brought out. And Meshar is from the verb yashar. Yashar, to be right, to be straight, to be level, to be upright, the sense of to be just, to be lawful, sense of to be smooth. The root idea of yashar is to be straight or even. In a kind of a causative sense, that which is right, pleasant, and prosperous. So Meshar is a root of Mesharim, right? That which is level, that which is equity, So once again, the full of this verse right here, Milefaneka mishpati, from your presence, my judgment, yetze, let it come forward. Aineka, your eyes, techezena, let them behold. Meisharim, that which is level, the levels, that which is level, that which is, how can we say, equity brings it out, but in the sense of that which is even, that which is level, right? That which is level, the things that are KJV by saying the things that are the things. It's interesting because the word actually is plural, mesharim. The root is meshar, singular, mesharim. May you behold that which is level vibes, that which is level. Let my judgment come forth. Declare the verdict. He's asking for a declaration of the mishpat, of the judgment, the verdict, the sentence, and make it known to the men and the people who hunt me down. The context here is Dawid being hunted down over the 10 or so years by Shaul and his men. Let thine eyes behold equity. As the all-wise Shofet, HaShofet, the Danya, as the all-wise judge who looks into men's hearts, discern where Mesharim, where equities, right, the things that are equal, right, are even, is to be found, whether in me or in my adversaries, my adversities and adversaries. So right here, moving to the third verse, KJV wise, that was the bait verse, so the Aleph bait, here the Gimel, third verse. Hebrew first, Bachanta libi, Pakadta laila, Raftani, Bala tinsa, Zamoti, Bala Ya'bar P, Bal Ya'bar P. Here the KJV. Thou hast proved my heart, thou hast visited in the night, thou hast tried, I shalt find nothing. I am purpose, my mouth shall not transgress. Right here. These verses right here, the third verse, thou hast tried my heart, thou hast tried my heart. Bahanta, the eye has bahan to try. Bahan is an interesting word. Bahan is like to try to examine, The context of this is like to test. This word, usually in Hebrew, in the Afro-Shemitic, is used like to test metals, testing the bahan. He says, Bahanta, libi, my heart. Bahanta, you have tested like metal, libi, my heart. Generally or figuratively, the bahan sense in bahanta is to investigate, to examine, to prove. Sometimes translated as to tempt, to try, to cause trial. Bahanta libi, thou hast tried, hast tested, in a sense like proven, libi, my heart. Thou hast visited it, in the night. Pakadta. Pakadta is an interesting word, fakad, because it can mean to visit, right? But it can also mean to punish, right? The idea of the pakad in the Hebrew is to visit with friendly or hostile intent. But the analogy is to oversee, to muster, to charge, to care for, to deposit. So the sense of the word is like an overseer, somebody coming to review your work. If you've done a good work, then they visit it with blessings, like congratulations. But if you haven't done that, there might be a judgment. It's an interesting sense of the word. Also, it's used like pikudei. Remember the previous Torah portions, pikudei, the summing. So visiting with the sense of putting accounts in order. But here Dawid is saying, pakadta, you have visited Lila, you have visited night, right? You have visited, it doesn't really say me at night. If you look in the KJV, when it says thou hast visited, a better KJV version will have me in italics, in the night, right? Because you have visited the night. You have visited, one can say at night, right? You do that overseeing, accounting, right, at night. Thou hast tried me. Seraftani. You have seraft me. Now the word saraf is to smelt, like smelting metal, to refine, to test, right? Also part of the proving, like a refiner, right? To fuse. When metals are fused, they are saraf. Saraf. So here, Dawid says right here, saraftani. You have fused me, you have refined me. Right? When it says you have tested me, in the sense of fusing metal, refining, whether it's literal or figurative sense. And it's what's usually connected with like a founder, a smith, a goldsmith, metal work. All right. So the comparison here is to like metal work. All right. And then he says, Baal timsa, Baal timsa. And you will find nothing. Baal absolutely timsa, Baal timsa. You will not find anything. He says, and shall find nothing. Or actually, the and is not there in Hebrew. It just be, shall find nothing. I am purposed. I am purposed. Zamoti, zamoti, zamoti. I have purpose. The word zamoti, I have done this, is from zamam. Zamam is to have a thought, a device, a plan, consider a purpose, right? To consider, to fix a thought upon, right? To purpose, to devise. It also can be used in the context with the plot of evil intent, whether good intent or evil intent. What's interesting about this particular word here, usually in the scripture, it's used in a bad sense. But the simple sense right here, when he says, I have purpose, right? I have purpose. I had a plan, basically. Now, like as we say, usually this in the Hebrew elsewhere is used like in the bad sense. But this is the sense of to consider, devise, imagine, plot, purpose, even think. So he says right here, thou hast tested me, thou findest not, thou will not find anything. That I had a thought that should not pass my mouth. You see, so it's the context of what he's saying, the zamoti, zamoti. I am purpose, my mouth shall not transgress. Or I had a thought, right, that should not pass my mouth. So the context is that he is so determined. He plans even what he says to such a point that he's not going to even transgress. He's seeking not to transgress with his lips. Zamoti, Bal Ya'abar, that will not pass P. Bal Ya'abar P. Bal Ya'abar P. That will not abar, like abara Hebrew, cross over, that will not cross over. So even if it's inside him, he's not going to let it come across his lips. This is what he has planned. This is what he has purpose. Zamoti, Bala Yabar, Bala Ya'abar P. That will not transgress, that he will not transgress. The sense of transgress is the sense of that will not like cross my lips, that he will not allow to come across his lips. So here in this third verse, the key is in the night. In the night, thou hast visited Pakata Laila. In the Laila has visited night. When men devise their plans, we know this from Psalm 36, around about verse 4, verse 5. When men devise their plans in the middle of the night, he claims that he had successfully passed this strict test of his heart because his conscience, right, is clear. Remember in these verses here, the first 5 verses, we have a plea of innocence. How do you plea? A plea of innocence. Here to the 4th verse right here, 4th verse KJV, concerning the works of men. By the word of thy lips, remember he's still speaking to Yahweh, by the word of thy lips, I have kept me from the paths of the destroyer. Another reading of that can be, as for the doings of men, by the word of thy lips, I have kept me from the ways of the violent, from the ways of the violent. Lif ulot, the works of the doings, the deeds, the doings, the fi'ulot, lif ulot Adam, the doings of Adam, men and people. Bi dabar sifateka ani shamarti, Archot paritz. Archot paritz. Here he says, as for the doings of men, the doings of Adam, men and people, by the word of thy lips, be in debar, sifateka, of the eyes, sifat, of the eyes, lips, in the word of thy lips, ani, I myself, shamarti, I have guarded, I have kept, the sense of kept, shamarti, I have kept, archot. Archot is interesting because archot from orach means like a way, a path, a way, a path. It has a sense of like a road. The sense of orach is singular, archot is plural, like the well-trodden road, the well-trodden roads, right? The well-trodden roads of the paritz, the violent one, the breaker. A robber or a murderer can be called a paritz. A violent one is like paritz, like a tyrant, paritz, a destroyer, ravenous, robber in that sense. It's interesting the Hebrew context right here, as we look at it just directly in the Hebrew. I have kept, right? I have kept, right? It says because the words of your lips, be devar sifateka, ani shamarti, I have kept archot paritz. I have kept, in other words, I've guarded the way of the violent ones. It doesn't directly say from, but because the words of Yahweh's lips has caused him to be circumspect. This is what he's bringing out, to cause him to be circumspect. By the words of thy lips, obedient to Yah's will. He and I had not adopted the ways of the lawless that his adversaries obviously were following, and even up to the moment of his prayer, right there. Key word right here, be debar sifateka, and in the words of your lips. Verse 5 right here for the opening section right here, first 5 verses, the plea of innocence. How do you plead? How did Dawid plead in this tefillah le Dawid? Here in the 5th verse, hold up my goings in thy paths, that my footsteps slip not. Hold up my goings in thy path, my footsteps slip not. In other words, if you hold up my goings in your path, then my footsteps will not slip, or will, the other sense of it, will not be moved. My feet have held fast to thy paths. So the KJV has, hold up my goings in thy path. Bringing out the more Hebraic sense, we can bring this out right here, as my steps have held fast or firm to thy path. Tamok, asherai, tamok. The sense of tamak is to grasp, to hold, to support, to attain, to lay hold of something, to hold firmly, to obtain or keep something held firm, like to follow close. The figurative sense is like to follow something close. Tamok, asherai. Ashur in Hebrew is going steps. Asherai is like my goings, like my tribes. Asherai from Ashar. Ashar is like to go straight, to walk on, to advance, to make progress, like to be on the straight path is the sense. And in a wider sense, it's like to be level, to be right, to be Asher. Remember Ashrei, to be happy, right? To go forward, to be honest. The sense of it is to prosper. So here he's saying Tamok Asherai, right? Tamok Asherai. My steps are firm, Hold up, Tamok, hold firm my tridings. Tamok Asherai be ma'egaloteka, in your magilot, in your footsteps. All right, your interesting here, magilot. Right, we have right here, magilot, the pa'am, the beat, the stroke, for lack of a better word, footsteps brings it out right there. As you step, every time you step, it's like a stroke beat, like a certain cadence. But this is what he's speaking of right here. To thy paths, to thy paths. He kept steadfastly to the tracks, marked out for him by Yahweh Eloheinu. As distinct, this is distinct from what he says in the verse before, where he speaks about the archot paritz, the ways or the paths of the tyrant, the paths of the violent, that they slip not, right? Bal namotu, so that they won't slip. Bal namotu, pe amayo, my my footsteps. The ma'agal is like a track. Ma'agal, as we have in Be Ma'agaloteka, where he says Tamok Asherai, right? Hold firm, or my steps are firm. Asherai Be Ma'agaloteka, in your paths, in your tracks. My feet have not slipped. Bal namotu pe amai, Bal yamotu fe amai, in your pa'am, in your steps, right? My feet, my tracks. So right here, just bringing out these first couple of verses, want to go to the full. Let's see how we look on the time right here, because there's an important fulfillment in today's daily psalm that we like to bring forward right here. Just a quick reminder of today's daily psalm. Here. Without the Hebrew.
Psalm 17.
Straight.
Hear the right, O Lord. Attend unto my cry. Give ear unto my prayer that goeth not out of feigned lips. Let my sentence come forth from thy presence. Let thine eyes behold the things that are equal. Thou hast proved mine heart. Thou hast visited me in the night. Thou hast tried me, and shalt find nothing. I am purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. Concerning the works of men, by the word of thy lips I have kept me from the paths of the destroyer. Hold up my goings in thy paths, that my footsteps slip not. I have called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me, O God. Incline thine ear unto me, and hear my speech. Show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by thy right hand them which put their trust in thee from those that rise up against them. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword, from men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, 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 with thy
Ani ratika hiya ta'neni el hat aznecha li shima'a imrati. I have called Ani, I self. Ani keratika. I have called up on the I. Ani keratika. I've called upon the ka, upon the I, male. Ani keratika. I've called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me. O Elohim, O El. Here. Ani keratika. Kia ta'eneni El. Key for ta'eneni, you will answer. Here we have, it says, hear me in the KJV, but the anna means to answer. As for me, I call upon thee, Anik Ratika, for thou wilt answer me. Kia ta'aneni El, thou wilt answer me, O El. Ki ta'aneni El, Almighty, thou wilt answer me, Almighty One. Incline thine ear, Hat Azneka. Hat to incline, Azneka. Remember, Ha'azina, broad in the ear. The Azneka is literally the ear. Hat Azneka, Hat incline, Azneka. Hat is from nata, to stretch out, to extend, to spread out, right? To spread out your ear, to stretch your ear, to bend. The sense even is like to bend the ear. Hat azneka, bend the ear, li, for me. Hat azneka li, bend the ear for me. Shema, hear, command, hear, Shema, imrati, and hear, imrati, and hear my speech, and hear my imra, and hear my speech. So here. This section here, verses 6 to 9, is his petition. Here in the wild verse, as for me, ani, because ani, I am conscious of my integrity. Ani, I pray for Yahweh, for Elohim's help. Right? Eloheinu, Elohai. I pray for my source, my power, my God's help. Ani, pray for Elohai's help in my trouble. Confident, always faithful, always sure that it will be granted. Now, this goes to the teaching of Rabbeinu Yeshua HaMoshiach. When you pray, right, know that you receive. Don't doubt. Right there. So we see this pattern right here in the man after Yahweh's own heart. Right here. In these verses right here. Anik ratika kiyata eneni el hat aznikali shema imrati. Shimra, to hear, imrati, my speech. Verse 7, the Zayn verse right here. Shew thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by thy right hand, them that put their trust from those that rise up. Now you see that I didn't read the italicized versions because I like to hear the force of the Hebrew. Them who trust in thee from those that rise up against thy hand is the Hebrew sense. So we read here in verse 7 of Psalm 17, shew thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest with thy right hand, them that put their trust in thee from those that rise up against them. More the force of the Hebrew, them who trust in thee from those that rise up against thy right hand. Haflei chasadeka moshi'ah chosim mia mitak omemim bi yemineka yemineka, thy hand be yemineka, by way of thy right hand, right? So it's interesting that the last part there, them which put their trust in thee from those that rise up against them, more fuller is them who trust in thee from those that rise up against thy right hand. Shew thy marvelous loving kindness. Haflei chasadeka, show thy chesed, that attribute of he who be, the merciful, loving, kind, that love, that mercy, here brought out as loving kindness in the KJV. Chasad, from the chasad and the chesed. Here we have chasadeka, the eyes, chesed, haflei. In some translations, they translate this verse as make passing great thy mercy, O thou that savest by thy right hand, from assailants, them that take refuge in thee. From assailants, them that take refuge in thee. Make passing great, make marvelous, hafle, hafle, hafle from the fala sense, to make, be distinct, to mark out, to distinguish, right? To distinguish, whether literally or figuratively. Put a difference, the sense of putting a difference. Hafle, hafle, hasadeka, shew thy marvelous loving kindness. Moshiach, Moshiach. So here we have Moshiach. Moshiach is Savior, right? Savior. It says, O thou that savest. O Savior, Moshiach. So we have Mashiach, Mashiach, and we have Moshiach. Moshiach, Savior, Mashiach, Messiah. Here we have Moshiach, Hosim, Moshiach, Hosim, Moshiach and Hosim. Hosim is those who seek refuge. Hosim, those who chasa, who go to hide, to seek refuge. Hosim, Hosim, right? Hosim, mituk omamim, from those who rise up. Mituk omamim, me from mituk omamim, those who like, who kam, who rise up. Mituk omamim, be mineka, in thy right hand, or the sense is against thy right hand. So that latter part should be more better. Them who trust in thee, right? Chosim, those who trust in thee, from those that rise, that rise up. Mia mituk omamim, against thy right hand. Be mineka, be a yemineka, be mineka. So here, intervene in a special way on my behalf, is what he's saying by the opening words of verse 7. Hafle chasadika, hafle chasadika, hafle chasadika. Make marvelous your loving kindness, your mercy. Intervene in a special way on my behalf. Thy right hand, in, against thy right hand, be mineka, be yemineka, be yemineka, be mineka. The right hand, yemineka, this is a symbol of overwhelming might. We have this in Psalm 20, around about verse 17, and in Shemot, in Exodus chapter 15, verse 6. Let's go on right here to the next verse right here, verse 8, chet verse. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings. Shamreini, shamar ani, shamreini. Keep, guard, hedge about. Ani, keep, observe me. Also, it can be to observe me. Shamreini, shamer ani, shamreini. K'ishon, like the Ishon. What is the Ishon? The Ishon in Hebrew, remember, Ish is man. The higher man is called Ish, like the lordly man, the man who's on a higher station, depends on in life. Adam is the common man, right? So Ishon means a pupil of the eye. Ishon is referred to as the pupil of the eye. The middle of the night, also the part that's deepest blackness, is called the Ishon. But notice the word Ish is man. So Ishon also directly means the little man of the eye. Ishon in the Hebrew, called pupil in translation, right? Or apple of the eye. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Keep me as the little man, the Ishon of the eye, as the pupil, as the ball of the eye. Because also Ishon can refer to like the middle of the night, the blackest part of the night. You know, that black part, that center part, that pupil part, that's called the little man of the eye. Some say it could be from the fact that when one is close to somebody, you know, like you can sometimes see your own reflection, the little man, as it were, in the other person's eye. Shamreini k'ishon, like the Ishon, bat ayin, the daughter of the eye. Keep me, right? Observe me, like the guard me, protect me. Shamreini k'ishon, like the Ishon, like the little man. bat ayin. So the phrase for pupil of the eye from the Hebrew idiom is the Ishon bat ayin, the little man, daughter of the eye. This is the Hebrew way of bringing out that the pupil of the eye. Ke Ishon bat ayin. Or it can be pointed as bait ayin, daughter of the eye, or I think this is actually a little more correctly Afro-Shemitically as the house of the eye. Ke Ishon, like the little man, bat ayin, right? Related to more the bayit, which is to say the house, more than bat, which is the daughter. Ke Ishon bat ayin, as the daughter of the eye, or as the house of the eye. As a house of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings. B'tzel, b'in-tzel, tzel is the shade, the shadow, the umbration. B'tzel kanafeka, b'tzel kanafeka, of the kanaf. Kanaf is the wing. In the shadow of thy wings. B'tzel kanafeka, tastireni, hide me. Secret me, satar me, mistatir, make me a mystery, hide me, tastirei ani, tastirei ni, shamreini ke ishona batayin, b'tzel kanafeka, tastirei ni. The apple of the eye, ishon batayin, the pupil of the eye upon whose soundness sight depends, that black part of the eye upon which soundness, right, sight depends upon that. And therefore something to be protected with the utmost care. We have this in Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 10, this mentioning of the apple or the little man of the eye. Shadow of thy wings, b'tzel kanafeka, as a mother bird guards her young. The phrase is common in the Psalter, right? From that natural fact, right? As a mother bird guards her young, right? B'tzel, right? Kanaf, in the shadow of the wing. B'tzel kanafeha, in the shadow of her wings. Here we have b'tzel kanafeka, tastireni. Secret me, right? Cause me to hide by secreting me in the pupil of your eye. As a mother bird guards her young, thus we have a phrase, a Hebrew idiom, the shadow of the wings. Here, verse 9 for this section, verses 6 to 9, his petition, she'ela, his ask right here. Verse 9, the 8th verse here, from the wicked that oppress, rephrase, down press I, my deadly enemies compass me about, that waste me, right? From the wicked that waste I, right? My deadly enemies who compass me about, in the Hebrew, my enemies against the soul. My enemies against the soul is the Hebrew sense. Mipnei, from the penei, from the face of mipnei rishaim, from the face of the defiant ones, the wicked ones, the rishaim, zu, these wicked ones, in the face of these, like these wicked ones, mipnei rishaim zu, saduni, from Slicha, Shaduni, ani lechozeh, repeat. Mipnei rishaim zu, Shaduni. Shaduni is from Shaddad. Shaddad means to deal violently with, to despoil, to devastate, to ruin. Shaddad. Shaddad, in its root sense, is to be burly. That is, in a figurative sense, to be powerful. Passively, it has a sense of impregnable, right? By implication, is to ravage, to destroy. So we have the Shaddad. Shaddad, yes, somewhat linked to the El Shaddai, but here we have Shadu Ani, those who Shadu me, those who oppress me, those who deal violently with me, those who devastate, who ruin, who spoil me. That's the sense. Those who waste me. Mi pnei rishaim zu shaduni. Oi bai, oi bai, oi bai. My enemy be nefesh, my enemy in soul, my enemy in psyche. Oi bai benefesh, oi vai benefesh, oi bai benefesh, oi bai, my enemy be in nefesh, in soul, in psyche. My enemies against the soul. Oi bai benefesh. Yakifu alai, yakifu, and they knock off. Knock off in the Hebrew is to strike off, right? To go around, but also can make a circuit, but also has a sense, the root sense is to strike with more or less violence, like to beat, to fell, to corrode something. The implication is like of an attack, like in an attack, to knock together. That is to surround and to circulate, to compass. So it's both to circulate and compass, but in the sense of striking in attack. Like in a fight, one goes around and try to dodge and hit. This is the sense right here where he says, Yakifu alai. They compass against I. They surrounding me to hit me up, right? And not in a good sense. They knock off, to strike me, right? The sense also has a sense of to strike off skin, right? Can have a sense of strike off skin, to go around and to strike. So right here, my deadly enemies. The Hebrew is my enemies at soul, my enemies in soul. Oi bai benefesh, oi bai benefesh. My enemies in soul, in psyche. Enemies who demand my life. So this is brought out since the nefesh is the soul, the psyche. She is the soul, the psyche. So nefesh is also the life. So my enemies in life, but then also the psychology. The psychological games is mentioned there by mentioning the soul. And they are enemies, benefesh. They are enemies, psychic enemies, psychically enemies. Something wrong, right, on the soul level. Here, just to continue right here, looking at the time and go into the grace period of this podcast and pick up with this Torah reading and feeding. But right here, let's touch on verses 10 to 12. 10 to 12. His enemies are portrayed, right? So here we get a portrait of the enemy. So here in the Yod verse, the 10th verse, a portrait of the enemies. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth they speak proudly. Chelbamo. The cheleb, the fat, right? Chelbamo. Sagru. They are enclosed. Pimo, Dibru begeut. Dibru begeut. They are enclosed in their own fat, or another way of bringing this out, their gross hearts they have shut tight. With their mouth they speak proudly. With their mouth they speak proudly. Chelbamo. Now, what's interesting right here, let me look at chelbamo. Yeah, they're like the fat. Cheleb is fat. It could be the fat of humans, the fat of beasts. Cheleb, in a symbolic sense, is the choicest part, the best part, the abundance of the products of the land, like the fat of the land, is to say, like we said, keep it fat. Oh, yo, that's fat. Yeah, this is the same sense. Cheleb. Isn't that interesting? Cheleb. We use the same word fat in a symbolic sense, right? To be fat, whether literally, right, or figuratively. In the figurative sense, it refers to the richest or the choice part of something. So here it says, Chelbamo sagru. Sagru is from sagar. Sagar means to close, to shut tight, to close up, to shut something, right? Or in a figurative sense, to surrender something. Chelbamo sagru, right? Their fat, they have closed up. Their gross heart, they have shut tight. The Hebrew fat, chelbamo, their fat from cheleb, especially the fat attached to the midriff, The part of the body that those in the east, the Kadmoniot, the Kadmonim, those in the Kedem regions, the east, the oriental, the eastern regions, look to the east, they regard as a seat of emotion. So Hebraically, the fat, the cheleb, which is like the midriff, right, was regarded by those of the east as the seat of emotion. The sense is not that they have closed their fat, unfeeling heart. That's not the sense in saying chelbamo sagru, but that they have shut up their midriff, the area of their compassion. They are dispassionate and thus are insensible to pity. They don't pity. Chelbamo sagru. Pimo. Sagru, sagru, sagru. Right? That's the first line. Then with their mouth, pimo, pimo, with their mouth, dibru, dibru, they speak begeut. The geut, begeut. They speak geut. What's geut? Geut is majesty. Geut has a sense of rising up, like a column of smoke rising up, like when you see the sea, when the sea swells. Geut, it can be used of the majesty of God, but Geut can also be used as pride, So they speak proudly, even majestically, speak proudly. They boast of their own power. They boast of their own power. Here to the Yod Aleph, to the 11th verse right here, KJV. They have compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. They set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Ashoreinu, ata, se babunu, ainehem yashitu, lin tot ba'aretz, lin tot ba'aretz. They have tracked me down. Suddenly they surround me. They watch closely, couching down to the ground. Is another way of bringing out this aspect here of today's daily psalm. We have this right here. Ish Runi. Now, Ish Runi here in the Hebrew is my, right? Ish Runi is my steps. I think there's a kere katib right here. And we have ashoreinu. So looking at it literally, and we say it is referring to some say my, but here we favor more the hour steps. Though some bring out, it's the one letter difference. Like we say ashoreinu, right? Ashoreinu. Then we can say Asher, where we were right there. Let's see right here. Asherenu. Then we see another proposes Ish Runi. But we're going to go with what we have right here. At our every step, they have now compassed us. At our every step, almost every step we take. Asherenu. Our steps. Asharenu ata now. Ata now. What do they do right now? Sibabunu. They compass us, literally. They go around us. They compass us. They have set their eyes. Ainehem. Their eyes. Yashitu. They have set their eyes. Lintot. They have set their eyes stretching out, ba'aretz, stretching out, right? They have set their eyes to cast us down to the ground. Is it to cast us down to the ground? The lintot has a sense of like intention. It can be to cast down. It can also be, bowing down. Because remember the previous verses that they are up in pride. They lift themselves up. So they lift themselves up. Shaul and his, right? They were looking down on Dawid, HaMelech. They was looking down on King David. Every step, alluding to Dawid and the men with him who were surrounded and escape seemed impossible time and time again. The enemies, they set their eyes. Shaul and his followers, they kept a close watch for every opportunity to seize, to grab on, to grab hold of him. Right here, verse 12, this next section here, his enemies are profiled, are portrayed like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. Young lion lurking in secret places. The likeness of him, that is, of every one of them, is as a lion that desireth to raven. As a lion that desireth to raven. Dimyono ka'aryeh yiksof. Aryeh yiksof litrof. So the reading here would bring it out a little bit better that the likeness of him, of this one, and all of them together, because one and the many, one connected with the many, is as a lion that desireth to rave or to raven. As it were a young lion lurking in secret places, or a young lion lurking or sitting, a young lion lurking or sitting, where kikfir Yosheb, seated, be mistarim. You know, when a lion is hunting, sometimes the lion just sitting down. It's just sitting down in some place you can't see it. All right. So the sense of lurking is more better is like waiting, but literally it's sitting like a young lion. Where ki kafir, the kafir, a young lion, Yosheb, sitting, be mistarim, in hidden or secret places. Speaking of their leader, Shaul, as we mentioned before, the comparison with an RDA, a lion, we have in Psalm 7, verse 3, Psalm 10, verse 9 as well. Now, right here, this now brings us to the section we was really doing all this so that we could put it into context and coming to this, the penultimate right here, verses 13 to 14, the prayer for deliverance, and this closing aspiration. There's very much a likeness of that resurrection, that getting up and that restoral, to where man had fallen from. But right here, look with double eyes right here for your ear.
Psalm 17.
מזמור י"ז, תפילה לדוד.
Hear the right, O Lord, O Lord, O Lord, O Lord.
שמעה אדוני צדק.
Attend unto my cry.
הקשיבה רנתי.
Hear unto my prayer.
האזינה תפילתי.
That goeth not out of feigned lips.
ולא שפתי מרמה.
Let my sentence come forth from my presence.
מלפניך משפטי יצא.
Let thine eyes behold the things that are equal.
עיניך תחזינה משרים.
Thou hast proved mine heart. Thou hast visited me in the night. Thou hast tried me, and shalt find nothing. I am purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. Concerning the works of men, by the word of thy lips I've kept me from the paths of the destroyer. Hold up my goings in thy paths, that my footsteps slip not. I've called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me, O God. Incline thine ear unto me, and hear my speech. Show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by thy right hand them which put their trust in thee from those that rise up against them. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, 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 with thy likeness.
Uma Yahweh Adama Fanayo Hakariye Hua Palta Nafshi Me Rasha Charbeka. Arise, Uma Yahweh, Uma Yahweh. Arise, O Jehovah, he who be Hakadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hashem. Uma Yahweh Adama disappoint him. Adama fanayo. Hakri'e huwa palta nafshi. Cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked. May Rasha, from the Rasha, the defiant. May Rasha. Charbeka, thy sword, thy chareb, the sword, charbeka, me rasha, charbeka, from the wicked, the ratchet, the defiant, thy sword. So here, this section here we have verses 13, right? The Yud, Gimel, verse 13 to verse 14. And also the closing verse 15 here, the aspiration. But in these two verses, 13 and 14, the tefillah for deliverance. Picking up here with Kuma Yahweh. Here we have arise, O Yahweh Jehovah. Reference to Psalm 3, verse 8. Let's look at this right here. Remember Psalm 3? Let's look at Psalm 3. The third Psalm right here in the sequence, verse 8, right? We have Psalm 3, verse 8, and here it reads, Arise, O Lord, save me, my God, for thou hast smitten all mine enemies upon the cheek. Thou hast broken the teeth of the wicked. Here we have Kuma, Yahweh, arise, rise up, Hoshe'ani, save Ani, save I, Hoshi Ani, Hoshia Ani, Hoshe'ani, Elohai, Hailai, my almighty power, my God, Kuma Yahweh Hoshe'ani, Elohai, for thou hast smitten all mine enemies upon the cheek. Ki, Hikita, Ki for Hikita. Hikita, you have Naka, the root word Naka. Here, the Hefil sense. Hikita, you have smitten, have itten. Ki Hikita, etakol oibai, all of my enemies. Oibai, etkol oibai. Lechi is a cheek. You have smitten all my enemies the cheek. You smitten all my enemies' cheek. Ki hikita et kol oibai lechi. Thou hast broken the teeth of the wicked, of the ratchet. Shinei rishaim. Shinei, the teeth of rishaim. Shinei rishaim. Shibarta. Thou hast broken, has shabarred them. Shibarta, the eye. Speaking directly to he who be, and none other. So here we have Kuma Yahweh here in Psalm 3, roundabout right here, verse 8. It might be verse 7 in the KJV because the numbering difference from Hebrew to the English translation. Arise, O Yahweh, Kuma Yahweh. This here we have a watchword. This is a recollection of Yisrael, of Israel's watchword when confronted with danger. What would Yisrael say? Kuma Yahweh, rise up. Almost into resurrect, rise up. He is risen. Kuma, sense of Kuma, rise up. Kuma Yahweh. When confronted with danger, we know this from Numbers chapter 10, verse 35, when the ark was moved forward, Kuma Yahweh. And also we have this as well in Psalm 68, verse 2. Psalm 68, verse 2. So here in Psalm 17, we have this very same watchword here in the 13th verse, the Yod Gimel verse, Kuma Yahweh, arise, O Jehovah. Now, the King James Version says, arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, thy sword. The wicked, which is actually not there in the Hebrew. So the force of the Hebrew, from the wicked, thy sword. Disappoint. Let's look at this word disappoint in the KJV. Another reading of this, looking at the Hebrew, we have Kadma Fanayo, the Afro-Shemitic, ancient biblical Hebrew, pointing modern Hebrew, they might enunciate as Kadma Fanav, ancient pointing Kadma Fanayo. Kadma. What is Kadma? Another translation here from the Sefer Tehillim is arise, O Yahweh, confront him. Kadma from the Kedem. What do we have here? We have the Kadam, the root verb Kadam. Kadam, to meet, to come, or be in front, to confront, to go before. So Kadam, as you have the Kedem and even Kedamawi, the Afro-Shemitic root sense of this, right? Here in the Hebrew, this has a sense of to meet, right? The Kadam, to come or be in front, like to go in front. If you go in front of somebody, that's like the Kadam sense. So when we have here, in this psalm right here, we have Kadama Fanayo. Come, meet, go in front, confront, go before his face. Kadma Fanayo. Confront him. Kadma Fanayo. Kuma Yahweh, rise, O Yahweh. Kadma Fanayo. Confront him, go before him. Right? The sense is like to project oneself to his face, right? To proceed, right? The sense is to anticipate, to hasten, to meet, and usually it's in the sense of to help. Elsewhere, we have this in other places where it's translated as prevent, like he prevented him with the blessings of goodness in that psalm. Hebraically, we could say prevent his face, Kadma Fanaya, go before his face, confront him in that sense, face to face. Kadma Fanayo. Hakari'ehu. Cast him down. Kara'a him. Cause him to bend. cause him to bow, cause him to sink down to his knees, kneel him down, like kneeling an animal to rest, right? Kneel him, even a sense of irreverence. But really this here is to bend the knee. The implication is sink him, cause him to prostrate him, in the sense of casting him down from his pomp and pride. Kuma Yahuwah Kadma Fanayo Hakri'ehu. Deliver my soul from the wicked. Palta from the falet. Palat means to escape. Felet bamarinya, felet falat, palat means to escape, to slip away. To slip away, the sense of slip away, escaping. This is the sense of like the deliverance, delivering my soul. Paltah, nafshi, cause my nefesh, my soul, my psyche, cause her to be delivered, cause her to escape their psychology, their harmful psychology against my life. Paltah, nafshi, cause my soul, my psyche to escape, to slip away. Paltah, nafshi, may from Rasha, from the defiant one, from the wicked. May Rasha Charbeka, may Rasha Charbeka, from the wicked, thy sword. Now some bring out the translation, deliver my soul from the wicked by thy sword. Literally in the Hebrew, Falta nafshi, may Rasha Charbeka. Deliver my soul from the defiant, the wicked, thy sword, Charbeka. So we have the watchword here, arise, Kuma, Yahuwah, confront him, go before him, prevent his face, Kadma, Fanayo, Kadma, when he is about to spring upon me, Kadma, Fanayo. Confront him, forestall, the sense of forestall him, prevent him from springing. Go before, like somebody about to attack somebody and then someone else interposes himself, puts himself between that person and the other person. That's the sense. Kadma fanayo. Cast him down. Cast him down. Hakri'ehu. Hakri'e. Cast him down. Cast him, him, right? Hakri'e. Cast, him, hakri'e, cast him down. More better, make him couch from kara. The root word is kara in hakri'e, cast him down, make him to crouch, right? The verb is used in Genesis 49:9, where it speaks about the Lion of Judah, right? It speaks about Yehuda, right there in Bereshit, Genesis 49:9, as well as in Numbers 24:9, of a lion on its haunches, reduced to submission. When a lion is on his haunches, and it's reduced to submission. Submit him, right? Submit him. Hakri'ehu. And by doing this, paltana shi me rasha charbeka. By doing this, you will deliver, cause my soul, my psyche, my feelings, my emotion, my active will, my sense of self, my mind, to slip away, to escape from the defiant one, me rasha charbeka, thy sword. Now, it's interesting not to get into reasoning here, because some say, is the wicked charbeka? Is the wicked thy sword? Or should the sense be by thy sword, even though we don't have a bait, right? It doesn't say bi ba charbeka, bi charbeka. It doesn't say that. It says thy sword. Reasoning on that, when we can reason on that right here. Verse 14, second word in the prayer, tefillah, for deliverance. Here we have the King James version. From men, remember this idea is going on, right? Confront him, cast him down, deliver my psyche from the ratchet defiant, thy sword, charbeka. From men, thy hand. From men, which are, as italicized, force of Hebrew, from men thy hand, Yahweh or Jehovah, from men of the world, their portion in life, speaking of this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid. that which is hidden, speaking of treasure. They are full of children and leave the rest of theirs to their babes. They leave the rest of theirs implied substance, the rest of their substance to their babes. They are full of children. So here we have this verse right here, second part of the prayer for deliverance. Prayer for deliverance. Mim team yadika, Yahuwah, mim team, meya cheleda chelkam, ba chayim, utsa funeka, te maleya bitnam, yisibeu banim, we higi hu, yitram le ole lehem, yitram le ole lehem. Let's break this down part by part. From men, by thy hand, O Lord. So one translation, meme team. What's the meme team? Meme team, in Hebrew we say mat. It's interesting because mate means dead, but mat, right? Like math, it look like math names, but mat is a way of referring to males, right? Like men, speaking of males. Meme team, from meme team, right? From males, from men, from a few men, right? Or from these men. In poetry, it could be like these men, right? Or these kind of men right here. Properly in Hebrew, the mat refers to like an adult, from like full grown. These are full grown men, meme team, right? Mateen, full grown men, they have adult age, right? The implication is like a man. But here we have this, in this case, in the plural sense, right? So from men. So the cadence of the Hebrew here is me metim, from men, yadika, thy hand, Yahweh, thy hand, O he who be, me metim, from men, may chaled, from the chaled, from men of the world. From men, me metim, yadika, thy hand, Yahuwah, me metim, from men, may chaled, from men of the world. We have world here, but the word for word here is chaled. Chaled refers to an age, a duration of life. Like it has a context of chaled in Hebrew means like something gliding swiftly. So the sense of chaled in connection with life and the world is, as we said, time be passing fast. Life, in the sense here, Hebraically, of a fleeting portion of time. So chaled, these are men of the chaled. They are men of the world. They are men of this fleeting period of time. Mim tim yadaka, Yahuwah mim tim me chaled. Not just men of the olam, the world in that sense, but they're men of this fleeting portion of time. And it's speaking of the world in the sense of a short time, the transience of, one might say, of life, right? Going on, it says chelkam. Let's get this right here. Chelkam ba'chayim. Chelkam, their portion. Their chelkam, their portion is in this life, or their portion in life. Chelkam ba'chayim, in chayim, in life. U'tzefuneka, thy treasure, t'male, you fillest, bitnam, you fillest their beten, you fillest their belly, whose belly thou fillest with thy treasure. U'tzefuneka, the eye's treasure, t'male, the eye fillest, bitnam, their belly, whose children, who have children in plenty. Yisbeu banim, yisbeu banim. They have sons to satisfaction. They have male children, sons, banim, yisbeu. When it says Phyllis, right? Phyllis, there's Phyllis there. And then when it says they are full of children, sabah, 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 sabah is to be sated, to be satisfied, to be satiated, like you full, you're eating something, you're sated, you're filled to satisfaction. So Yesiba'u, they are filled to satisfaction, banim. They have children, namely sons, to satisfaction. To satisfaction. And leave their abundance to their babes. Where hegihu, where hegi, slicha, where henihu, where henihu, where and henihu, henihu, yitram le olelehem. So this last part, and they leave, right? Yanach, yanach, yanach has a sense of to leave. Where he nihu, and they henihu, they leave, right? There's a sense of to rest, to settle, to leave. You know, like when the implied sense is like they pass away, so they make a deposit. They allow something to stay. They allow something to stay. When it says they leave their abundance, right? Their yitram. What is yitram? Yitram. Yitram is the yeter. Yeter is the remainder. Yeter is the excess. Yeter is like the excellence, the overhanging, the sense of overhanging, the excess, the remainder. You know, so they leave the remainder li for of olelehem, olelehem, for their babes. The word for babes in Hebrew, olel. Olel, some might point it as olal, olal. Here we have olelehem, hem, their olalim, their young children, their babes. It's almost like suckling babes. To young and suckling babes is the sense right here. So here in verse 14, from men, these men are the Rishaim, are the wicked, are the defiant, from whom he prays to be saved. They are persons whose ideals are wholly, entirely material, carnal, worldly, selfish. Their desires, right, are limited to the earthly, the natural, the fleshy, the carnal prosperity. Men of the world whose portion is in this life. Men of the world. Mi matim me chaled chelkam b'chayim. The better way to bring this out in translation was men whose portion in life is of this fleeting world. Men whose portion in life is of this fleeting world, is of a fleeting time. Mi matim me chaled chelkam b'chayim. Bringing this out a little more, they aspire to nothing higher than the gratification of carnal, bodily, enjoyment, fleshy. We say fleshy in that sense, not spiritual. Thy treasure is interesting right here, right? Right? Thy treasure, the good things of this world, the good things of the earth, is still saying that they have the best of this life. What's on this earth, we know, is his treasures, and they seem to get the best even of that. The good things of this world, of this life. Children, banim, sons. Childlessness was considered by the ancients in the East, the Oriental, right? And we say Oriental in the sense of the East, as the Oriental Ethiopian Church. These are the sister churches, the East, look to the East. To be the greatest misfortune was not to have sons or to have children. We see this in Genesis, Bereshit, Genesis chapter 30, verse 1. And also in Psalm chapter 27, around about verse 3, a prolific offspring, right? Nuff, we say nuff sons, was considered by many to be a supreme baraka, a supreme blessing. But they leave their abundance. They leave their abundance, yitram, where he nihu yitram le'olalim, to their babes. They enjoy prosperity throughout their lifetime, and they are able to bequeath a rich inheritance to their children. It's interesting, how forward-thinking, seeing that Dawid is talking about his particular, but that was much of what Shaul was concerned with. right? As he suspected that, that the messiahship and the kingship had passed to Dawid, right? But be that as it may, this is an interesting verse right here for further reasoning. And here, let's go to verse 15, Chaverim, to complete today's daily psalm right here. This particular verse, his and I aspiration. As for me, I will behold thy face, thy presence, thy perception in righteousness, in justice. B'tzedek, I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Now, keyword, remember the word, the satisfaction in the previous verse? There was that particular satisfaction that was mentioned in one of the previous verses. Let's see if we can find that word right there. It's interesting how it kind of connects, that they are satisfied. See if we can find this right here. Yisibu Bani, who have children, who have children in plenty, who have children in plenty, or who are satisfied, right? Who are satisfied, who are sated. KJV brings it out as, how does King James translate this? It says they are full of children. That's how King James brings out the word full there. But it's the sabah, which means like to be satisfied. But now notice, Dawid was saying they have children in plenty, they are satisfied with sons, right? And they leave their wealth, their abundance to their little babies. But what does he say here in verse 15? In the Yod Hey verse, he says, Ani b'tzedek, I in righteousness and justice, Echeze, I'll behold as in a vision, Echeze, faneka, the eye face, the eye perception. Esba'a, I will sabah, esba'a, while they, yisiba'u, they are satisfied, banim, with sons and with children. Dawid says here, esba'a, I will be satisfied, right? Bihakitz, in waking, timunatika, with your likeness. As in the beginning, created man in his image after his likeness. This is what we have right here. Full of the verse, Ani b'tzedek echezeh fanecha, esib'a bihakitz timunatika. The thought of Psalm 16 is repeated. We have a thought here in Psalm 16, Chaverim, right? The Psalm 16, if you look at the verses in Psalm 16, this is the latter part of the Psalm where it says, therefore my heart is glad and my glory rejoiceth, my flesh also dwelleth in safety. Interesting, these three terms, heart, glory, flesh. For thou wilt not abandon my soul to the netherworld, to Sheol, neither will thou suffer thy godly one, thy chassid one to see the pit. And in verse 11, thou makest me to know the path of life. In thy presence, in thy face, is fullness of joy. Soba, satisfaction. Soba, simachot, satisfaction of happiness, of joy. Et paneka, in your face, in your perception. In thy right hand, bliss forevermore. Bliss forevermore. Or victory. We can also bring out a sense of victory forevermore. Ne'imot biyamineka. Ne'imot, pleasures. Ne'mineka. Bimineka, in your right hand. Netzach, victory forever. Netzach, victory forever. So right here, as we seal this up, there's a thought of Psalm 16 that's repeated here in Psalm 17. He and I do not and should not envy the wealth of the Rishaim, the ratchet, the defiant ones. Since his and I longing is for the joy, the happiness, right, of communion with Yahweh Eloheinu, with he who be our Elohim. Therefore, he says this, Echezeh, 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 Echezeh. I chaza, chazon. I see the chazon, a vision, right? I shall behold. The sense of echezeh, may I behold, right? May I behold. And he has a sense of may I be satisfied. Echezeh, esiba'ah. Echezeh, may I behold, faneka, thy face, esiba'ah, esiba'ah, esiba'ah. I will be satisfied. To behold Yahweh Eloheinu, Aina Elohim's face, is to be in his presence, is to be in his perception, and to perceive he who be who he be. We have this in Psalm 16, the last verse of that psalm where it says, in thy presence is fullness of joy. Soba, simachota eta paneka, soba, satisfactions, simachot, of joy, et paneka, thy face. Thy face is that satisfactions of joy. This is what he brings out here, these key verbs. Echezeh, I will behold, I will see in the vision. Esiba'ah, esiba'ah, and I will be satisfied. When? When I awake. When I awake. The word to awake in Hebrew is kutz, kutz. Kutz is the verb to wake up, to kutz, to show signs of waking, of being awake. Kutz, kutz. It has a sense of abruptness in starting up from sleep. So it has a sense of like when when somebody like go to sleep or you fall asleep and then all of a sudden you recognize, oh, I'm sleeping. You wake yourself up. That abruptness in starting, right, or starting up from sleep. This is the sense of this word that's brought out, awake. Bihakitz, in awaking, in being startled in a sense from sleep and being awake. Bihakitz, bitimunatika, bihakitz timunatika, bihakitz timunatika. What is timunatika? Likeness. In Hebrew, we say the timuna, we have timuna, timuna. Timuna is the form, the image, the likeness, the representation, the semblance, right? Has a sense of something that is portioned or fashioned as a shape, right? As an embodiment, as a manifestation, as a manifestation. So he says, I shall be satisfied in waking, right? Your likeness. In awaking, it says with thy likeness, that can be implied, but directly I will be satiate, satisfied in awaking thy likeness. So what do we have here? When I awake with thy likeness, when I awake timunatika, thy likeness. Like the end of Psalm 16, previous psalm, the phrase has been applied to the awaking from the sleep of mot, mavet, of death. Here again, however, the contrast is between a life, a liberty devoted to self-interest, selfish self-interest, and a life conscious of Yahweh Eloheinu. The clue to the meaning of bihakitz, in awaking, of awake, is to be found in Numbers chapter 12, verse 6. It's said to be found in Numbers chapter 12, verse 6. And I think I read this note before, but just for good order right here, right? For good order right here, let's just go to Numbers chapter 12, verse 6. I know we're pushing this here, but it's connected with the reason for the season. Chapter 12, verse 6. What do we have? Chapter 12, Numbers. Chapter 12, the 6th verse. Here we go. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, will make myself known to him in a vision, in a chazon, and will speak to him in a cholem, in a dream. So here, Numbers chapter 12 at verse 6, and he said, hear now my words. if there be a Nabi, a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, will make myself known to him in a chazon, a vision, will speak to him in a cholem, in a dream. So unlike other prophets, Nabim, to whom Yahweh Elohim revealed himself in dreams, Moshe had the experience, according to HaTorah, of beholding the likeness of Yahweh, his Temun. That is the mystic privilege. For that, the psalmist and I yearn. A conscious realization of the divine presence, the divine face and grace in our lives. Like we can see him, right? We can see his word in reality, right? And in reality, he sees us and we see him. That whole face-to-face that Paul spoke about. With that, he will be satisfied. I will be satisfied and exchange for it all the treasures, right? The perceived treasures, right, of this earth, right, of the material wealth and people, fandom and all of that, everything else, just to behold his face, to see him, right, to see him as he be. So right here, that verse there we sought to get to right here, because the reason for the season, Chabarim, pick up on this, hopefully a little bit more right here. We're going to segue, right, due to the time that we have here, right, to this Torah reading and feeding, 29th sabbatical study Shabbat Strong, here on the eve of Tinsaye, right, Tinsaye, Tekuma, right, is risen, resurrected.
Rastafari.
Blessings of the Torah before the Torah portion reading in the Hebrew and English tongue. Baraku et Yahweh Hambarak. Baruch Yahweh Hambarak. Leolam Vayeh. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam asher bekarbenu mebal hamayim venutan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Yahweh noten ha-Torah. Bless Yahweh, the Blessed One. Blessed is Yahweh, the Blessed One, for all eternity. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Almighty, King of the universe, who selected us from all the peoples and gave us his Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Rastafari.
Jah is thy light, and I be a testament of the light that shineth through the night. Humble lion, and I have to forward and reach a Mount Zion. To be following the light of the Lamb and the Lion, the most holy one, the Father and the Son. Read it in the Old and the New Testament. Me I tell you to read up your Bible.
מצוותך היום, אני לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, וציברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ולכתך בדרך, ושכבך ובומך, וכתבת מאוד על ידיך, והיו לתוספות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות, ביתך ובשעריך.
Know of a surety that thy seed will be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall enslave and oppress them for 400 years, in the fourth and in the last generation. Yes, you shall journey into captivity a second time in ships, because you have rejected his instructions.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, O children of Israel?
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אדוני אחד.
Shabbat Shalom, send that salam. Shabbat Axariimot. Shalom. Shalom. Here for this 29th reading from HaTorah, from the Torah, from God's direction instruction, and the 6th reading here from the third book of Moshe, the Hebrew book called Leviticus. It's named Axariimot. 2 words, that means after the death. The title comes from the first words of the first verse of the reading, which says, and the Yahweh spake to Moshe after the death, Axariimot, of the 2 sons of Aharon, when they offered before Yahweh, before Jehovah, and died. In Leviticus 16:1. Leviticus 16 describes Mishkan, the tabernacle ceremony for the holy set-apart festival of the Day of Atonement, Yom HaKippurim. Leviticus 17 establishes general rules for sacrifice and the sanctuary. And Leviticus chapter 18, it lays down specific laws about permitted and forbidden sexual relationships. So here we pick up with this Torah portion, Aliyah, reading and feeding, Leviticus chapter 16 to Leviticus chapter 18. Verse 30. B'Shem Ha'ab V'Habein V'Ruach HaKadosh Yahuwah Echad. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, He who be, the One. The Day of Atonement, Christ HaMoshiach, as Kohen Gadol, Kohen HaGadol, as High Priest and sacrifice. V'Yadaberi Yahuwah, V'Yadaber Yahweh El Moshe Axariimot. Shnei b'nei Aharon b'karabatam lifnei Yahweh vayamutu. And the Yahweh spake to Moshe after the death of the 2 sons of Aaron, when they offered before the Yahweh and died. Vayadaberi Yahweh. And spoke he who be El Moshe to Moses. Axariimot, after the death of Shnei b'nei, the 2 sons of Aharon, b'karabatam, when they offered lifnei Yahweh, before he who be Yod-Heh Wah-Heh, Vayamutu, and died. And the Yahweh said to Moshe, speak to Aharon, Achika, thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place, within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon Ha'aron, the ark, that he die not. For I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. Thus, like this, shall Aaron come into the holy, the set-apart place, with a young bullock for a chat'at, a sin offering, and a ram for a olah, burnt offering. He shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh, and shall be girded with a linen girdle, and with the linen mitre, the turban, shall he be attired. These are the holy set-apart garments. Therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on. And he shall take of the congregation of the Bnei Yisrael, the children, the sons of Israel, 2 kids of the goats for a chat'at, a sin offering, and 1 ram for a olah, burnt offering. And Aaron shall offer his bullock his bullock of the hatat, the sin offering, which is for himself, and make a kapara, atonement, atonement for himself and for Beito, his house. And he shall take the 2 goats and present them lifnei Yahweh, before he who be at the patach, the door of the tabernacle of the congregation of the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting. And Aharon shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Yahweh and the other lot for the scapegoat, Le'azazel. And Aharon shall bring the goat upon which the Yahweh's lot fell, and offer him for a chata'at, a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell to be Azazel for the scapegoat shall be presented alive, lifnei Yahweh, before he who be, to make an kaper, an atonement with him, and to let him go for a Azazel, for a scapegoat into the Midbar, the wilderness. And Aharon shall bring the bullock of the Chata'at, the sin offering, which is for himself, and shall make an kaper, an atonement for himself, and for Beito, his house. And shall kill the bullock of the Chata'at, the sin offering, which is for himself. And he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from off the altar, the Mizbeach, lifnei Yahweh, before Jehovah, and his hands full of sweet incense, itan, sweet aishans, beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense, aishans, upon the fire, lifnei Yahweh, before he who be, that the cloud of the incense, the aishans, may cover the mercy seat, the kaporet, that is, upon the testimony, that he die not. And he shall take of hadam, of the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward. And before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle of hadam, of the blood, demu, with his finger 7 times. Then shall he kill the goat of the Chata'at, the sin offering, that is, for Ha'am, the people, and bring his blood, damo, within the veil, and do with that dam, that blood, as he did with Hadam, the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat, and before the mercy seat. And he shall make an kaper, an atonement for the holy, the set apart place, because of the uncleanness of the Bnei Yisrael, the children, the sons of Israel, and because of their transgressions and all their sins. And so shall he do for the tabernacle of the congregation, the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting, that remaineth among them in the midst of their uncleanness. And there shall be no man in the tabernacle of the congregation, the Ohel Moed, when he goeth in to make an atonement in the holy, the set apart place, until he come out and have made an atonement for himself and for his household and for all the congregation of Yisrael. Third book of Moshe, the Hebrew book called Leviticus chapter 17. Here at verse 18, we have the Sheni, the second Aliyah, for this 29th weekly Torah portion reading and feeding, and I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong, the second Aliyah, the Sheni, here at verse 18. Wayatza il ha mizbeach asher lifnei Yahweh we kipera alayo wa latach midam ha para u midam ha sa'ir we natan ala aronot and he shall go out to the altar, that is, lifnei Yahweh, before he who be, and make an atonement, kippah, for it, and shall take of Hadam, the blood of Hapar, the bullock, and of Hadam, the blood of Sa'ir, the goat, and put it upon the horns of the altar, round about. And he shall sprinkle of Hadam, of the blood, upon it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it, and hallow it, and set it apart from the uncleanness of the Bnei Yisrael, the children, sons of Israel. And when he hath made an end of reconciling the holy, the set-apart place, and the tabernacle of the congregation, tent of meeting, the Ohel Moed, and Mizbeach, and the altar, he shall bring the live goat, and Aharon shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat, and confess over him all the iniquities of the Bnei Yisrael, the children, the sons of Israel, all their transgressions and all their sin, putting them upon the head, the rosh of Hasair, of the goat, and shall send him away by the hand of a fit man into the Midbar, into the wilderness. And the goat shall bear upon him all their iniquities into a land not inhabited. And he shall let go the goat in the wilderness. And Aharon shall come into the tabernacle of the congregation, tent of meeting, the Ohel Moed, and shall put off the linen garments which he put on when he went into the holy, into the set apart place, and shall leave them there. And he shall wash his flesh with water in the holy place, and put on his garments, and come forth, and offer his olah, his burnt offering, and the burnt offering of Ha'am, the people, and make an atonement for himself and for Ha'am.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, O children of Israel?
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Adonai Echad.
Here, Hebrew first words. Wa'et chalev ha-chata'at yakatir ha-mizbeach and the fat. Wa'et chalev, wa'et chalev, and the chalev, the fat. Wa'et chaleb ha-chata'at, of the sin offering of ha-chata'at, of the sin offering, yakatir, shall he make smoke. Yakatir, shall he burn and cause to smoke. Yakatir, shall he burn as aishans, as incense, causing it to smoke. Yakatir, ha-mizbecha, upon the altar. Wa'et chaleb ha-chat'ata yakatir ha-mizbecha. And the fat of the chat'at, the sin offering, shall he burn upon the mizbeach, upon the altar. And here at verse 26, we have the shalishi. Here at verse 26. Verse 25 for the shalishi, for the sixth aliyah, beginning off first words of the sixth aliyah. With 8 chalev ha-chata'at yakatir ha-mizbeach, and the fat of the sin offering ha-chata'at shall he make smoke upon ha-mizbeach. Yakatir ha-mizbeach, upon the altar. So here picking up for the shalishi, verse 25. And the fat of the sin offering shall he burn, shall he make smoke upon ha-mizbeach. Verse 26, and he that let go the goat for the scapegoat, lit Azazel, shall wash his clothes and bathe his flesh in water, and afterward come into the camp. And the bullock for the chata'at, the sin offering, and the goat sa'ir for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the holy, the set apart place, shall one carry forth without the camp, and they shall burn in the fire their skins and their flesh and their dung. And he that burneth them shall wash his clothes and bathe his flesh in water, and afterward he shall come into the camp. And this shall be a statute forever to you, that in the 7th month, the 7th moon, on the 10th day of the moon, the month, ye shall afflict your souls,
and do no work at all, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourneth among you. For on that day shall the priest make an atonement for you to cleanse you, that ye y'all may be clean from all your uckeries, lifnei Yahweh, before Jehovah. It shall be a Sabbath of rest to you, and ye y'all shall afflict your souls by a statute forever. And ha-Kohen and the priest, whom he shall anoint, and whom he shall consecrate to minister in the priest's office in his father's stead, shall make the atonement, and shall put on the linen clothes, even the holy garments. And he shall make an atonement for the holy, the set-apart sanctuary, and he shall make an atonement for the tabernacle of the congregation, the tent of meeting, and for the altar ha-Mizbeach, and he shall make an atonement for ha-Kohanim, the priests, and for all the people of the congregation. And this shall be an everlasting statute to you, to make an atonement for the Bnei Yisrael for all their sins once a year. And he did as the Yahweh commanded Moshe. And here this brings us here. This brings us here to the Rabbi'i, Aliyah, the fourth, picking up here, third book of Moshe, Hebrew book called Leviticus chapter 17. But one place for sacrifice. Vaydaber Yahweh illa Moshe leimor. And the Yahweh spake to Moses, Moshe, saying, Leimor, speak to Aaron, and to his sons, Benai, and to all the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, and say to them, this is the thing which the Yahweh hath commanded, Lemor, saying, what man soever there be of the Beit Yisrael, of the Beit Yisrael, of the house of Israel, that killeth an ox or lamb or goat in the camp, or that killeth it out of the camp, and bringeth it not to the Patach, the door of the Ohel Moed, the tabernacle of the congregation, the tent of meeting, to offer an offering to the Yahweh before the tabernacle of the Yahweh, blood shall be imputed to that man. He hath shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people to the end that the Bnei Yisrael, the children, the sons of Israel, may bring their sacrifices which they offer in the open field, even that they may bring them to the Yahweh, to the Patach, the door of the Ohel Moed, of the tabernacle of the congregation, the tent of meeting, to Ha-Kohen, to the priests, and offer them for Shalamim, peace offerings to the Yahweh, and Ha-Kohen, the priest, shall sprinkle Hadam, the blood, upon Ha-Mizbeach, the altar of the Yahweh at the Patach, the door of the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting, the tabernacle of the congregation, and burn the fat for a sweet savor to the Yahweh. And they shall no more offer their sacrifices to devils, after whom they have gone a whoring. This shall be a statute forever to them throughout their generation.
Yes. So right here for the 29th sabbatical study, here for the Shabbat, Axarimot, Sabbath after the death of the two sons of Aaron. Here brings us this particular time, Malkam Barhane Tensayo, coming to the light of his resurrection first day, the morrow after the Shabbat. So the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the true church and professing church, it celebrates as the ancient early church did here in this time in the season coming up for the May 5th. Interesting, May 5th, return of the king. We had the return of the king. And what's so very interesting right here, just where we left off, going to pick up with the 5th and 6th and the 7th Aliyah right here. But there's some more reasoning. There's a few more items of reasoning, just briefly to point to it. The two goats. We're the two goats, and also the theme of the goat of Elohim. You see, with the Seh, right? Ha Elohim. What about the goat? There's these two goats. The two goats were selected earlier, and were waiting in the courtyard of the Mishkan, of the sanctuary, we say of the tabernacle. The high priest, the Kohen Gadol, we know this is Aaron. So the high priest is Moshiach, is anointed. So here we get the likeness that is more fully brought forward in the Brit Hadasha, especially in the Epistle to the Hebrews. So we have the high priest, the anointed, would draw lots and select one of the two goats to be a chatat. Chatat, ancient pointing chatat, a sin, a lack offering, on behalf of Amo, the people, Amo Yisrael. Now, this goat was designated La Yahuwah, for Jehovah, La Adonai, for the Lord. He was then slaughtered and sprinkled its dam, the blood, upon the kaporet. What is the kaporet? The kaporet is the mercy seat, right? As he did for chatato, as he did for his sin offering earlier. This is now the third time when we look at the order here in this Torah reading and feeding Achariimot. This is the third time that the Kohen Gadol, HaMoshiach, the anointed high priest, entered the Kodesh HaKodashim, the Holy of Holies, on Yom HaKippurim, on the day of the coverings, the day of atonement. Now, after this, the high priest, the anointed, would lay both hands on the rosh, on the head of the second goat. And the second goat was designated La Azazel, for Azazel, a name for Hasatan, the adversary, the accusing Mala'ach, the accusing angel, while confessing all of the transgressions of Amo Yisrael, of the people of Israel. This goat, that symbolically it represents the sins, the chatot of Ha'am, of the people, was then taken into the wilderness by a messenger and was said to be pushed off a cliff, causing the goat to be smashed and mashed into pieces. It's interesting right here because there's a theme today of Baphomet and the goat is considered this evil theme, but if Yeshua HaNotri fulfilled these things, how and in what way did he fulfill this aspect for our atonement as well? So we're going to pick up on that as we move forward, coming to the top.
The jam give me honor, make me sing even though my band stammer. So me sing sweet song like Hosanna. My voice sweet like a piano.
Yes. Calling. Tune in.
Many are calling, no?
Yes,
many are called, but few are choosing. Many are called, but few are choosing. I was called, and I was chosen. It's funny, but it's true.
It is good that you are here to record this picture of me in my palace garden at Addis Ababa. People who see this throughout the world will realize that even in the 20th century, with faith, courage, and a just cause, David will still beat Goliath.
Malcolm Barhana Tinsaye, happy rising up. First day, according to the True Church and Professing Church. Tinsaye, resurrection. Tune in. Pick it up with the second service here, first day service. Shalom, Habarim, shalom.
Thank you for using Blog Talk.